Welcome everyone to Coin New Yen Review channel. Before we dive into today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so more people can discover us. Enjoy the show. I dared to ask her if she'd ever venture back to the bar to mess around again. At that moment, the renowned Playboy of the university stood tall, yet I found myself cornered against a wall pinned by her presence. The kicker was this was the university's infamously aloof beauty queen. She gripped my belt, refusing to let me slip away. I shook my head so frantically it felt like waves crashing. Then out of nowhere she lifted her gaze. She looked at me with a smile that caught me off guard. She declared I'd be punished by staying up all night. With that, she tugged me by my belt into the bedroom. The story traces back to last month. I was at the bar knocking back drinks. I bragged about scoring a hit, shaking my head in triumph. I set out to snag a specific person's green bubble contact. Normally this kind of thing was a breeze for me, but as luck would have it, a few guys in the crowd weren't exactly fans of mine. Just then Lang Ningbing strolled into the bar, so they challenged me to get her green bubble. I knew they were setting me up to look like a fool. After all, Lang Ningbing, the university's beauty queen, had been here for 3 years, with countless upperclassmen and underclassmen throwing themselves at her. Not one of them ever succeeded, though I'd admit I'm not bad looking myself. I glanced at the guys waiting to see me crash and burn, their smirks practically begging for my failure. I just rolled my eyes in response. I stood up with a swagger and sauntered toward Lang Ningbing's table. It was just a matter of 2 bottles of booze after all. I wasn't fazed in the slightest. Lang Ningbing sat at a table, surrounded by only 5 or 6 girls in the booth. I strolled over. I casually plopped down in the empty seat across from her. Propping my chin, I asked her if she had a boyfriend. She seemed lost in a daze. My sudden question startled her awake. She stared at me silent for what felt like forever. Her gaze made me squirm with embarrassment, so I started babbling to fill the awkward silence. I turned to the other girls at the table. I asked if they'd mind me having a sip of their drink. They snapped to attention. Smiling, they signaled they didn't mind at all. I grabbed a glass from the table, not even sure whose it was. I downed the liquor inside in one go. Then I bolted from the scene as fast as I could. The moment I got back, those guys started throwing shade with their snarky comments. They called out to me, their voices dripping with mock. They asked if I'd managed to snag her green bubble. I flashed a fake smile and shot back with equal sarcasm. I said there's no way she'd ever look at a guy like me. They scoffed, saying they'd watched me the whole time, pointing out I even drank from her table's glass. Yet I still didn't get her green bubble. They teased if I'd shamelessly mooched their drink, wondering aloud if I'd just helped myself to it. They remarked she's the ice-cold Lang Ningbing, the one even the campus heartthrob couldn't win over. They said a guy like me probably wouldn't even get a glance from her. I told them to ease up, boasting that I'd already charmed countless women, leaving them all in the dust with my reputation. I focused on cracking open a bottle of liquor, letting their taunts and jabs wash over me. I'd heard worse insults before. They were right about one thing. Their words didn't even sting enough to faze me. I popped open 2 bottles and started chugging. I'd barely gotten through half of the first one when someone grabbed my hand, stopping me mid-drink. The rowdy cheers around us faded to nothing. I looked up. Lang Ningbing stood just behind me. Without a word, she took the half-empty bottle from my hand. I stared at her, stunned, asking if she didn't want the green bubble. I hadn't even grabbed my phone yet. Why was she running off? The bar's lighting was dim, but I still made out her face clearly, her bold brows and striking eyes, a tear-shaped mole at the corner of her eye, giving her an almost tender kissable aura. At that moment, she smiled faintly, holding out her green bubble QR code right in front of me. My mind reeled what was happening. She shook her head, saying given the situation, this was the only way to play it. I hurriedly pulled out my phone and scanned her code. I thought she'd leave right after, but she accepted my request, then tucked her phone away. Her eyes met mine as she asked if I wanted to go. I blurted out, confused, go where? She offered to treat me to dinner, asking if I'd give her the honor. I glanced at my phone. It was 10:30 p.m. I figured why not, it's a free meal. So I nodded. I reached for my bag. but Lang Ningbing beat me to it, grabbing it first. I froze for a second, then followed her out of the bar. I nudged her arm. I thanked her and said I'd take my bag and walk myself. She turned puzzled, asking why I'd walk alone. I studied her expression for a few seconds. Was she seriously planning to treat me to dinner? I asked if the things she said back there were actually for real. She tilted her head and asked what I thought. As she spoke, she leaned in closer to me. Instinctively, I slid my hand around her waist. I played dumb, blinking innocently as I looked at her. I admitted I really had no clue. I asked if she could explain it to me. Lang Ningbing's face flushed red instantly. She stayed silent for a long moment. I laughed, letting go of her and snatching my bag back. I teased that I could handle her just fine. After that night at the bar, rumors about me and Lang Ningbing spread like wildfire through the school. Everyone assumed I'd won her over. But in truth, after that night, we hadn't seen each other even once. I was heading to my dorm after class when a girl suddenly blocked my path. Irritated, I glared at the girl, stopping me from getting back to sleep. I asked her what she wanted. Her face was beet red, stammering without saying a word. I rolled my eyes, ready to sidestep her, but she grabbed me, calling my name Yefeng. She asked how much I charged for a night. Her voice was so quiet. I thought I'd misheard. What did she say? She offered to pay me to spend a night with her. I watched her blush as she said it, finding it almost amusing. I asked her to name my price for a night. She suggested 300 was enough. She even held out her hand to offer it. I squinted, staring at her like she was absurd, not wanting to waste more of my precious sleep time. I said nothing and turned to leave. To my shock, this girl shouted after me, claiming I'd slept with so many women that 300 for a night with her felt overpriced. It was right after class with plenty of people around. Her outburst made me the center of attention. I was dumbfounded. I knew the school was full of rumors about me sleeping around with tons of women, but they'd always been whispered behind my back. This was the first time it happened so openly. I turned, ready to snap back at her, but an arm slung around my shoulder, beating me to the punch with words. She demanded to know who my boyfriend had slept with. Lang Ningbing had just finished class, her right hand still clutching a book. Her face wasn't exactly pleased. Her tone carried a hint of annoyance. I guess she probably hadn't slept much either. The girl hadn't expected Lang Ningbing to step in and defend me. Compared to Lang Ningbing's petite frame, the girl's small figure was practically trembling, but she held her ground, saying she hadn't seen it herself. But a guy like me didn't even need proof to know I'd slept around. Lang Ningbing shot back, saying she must really want it, admitting she hadn't seen anything either. But a girl like her didn't need proof to know what she was after. I never would have guessed Lang Ningbing would say something like that. I burst out laughing with a snort. The onlookers were chuckling under their breath too. In the end, the girl didn't say another word. She ran off, her head held high in shame. I thanked the school beauty for stepping in. She dropped her earlier irritation, switching to a lazy, relaxed demeanor. She told me not to thank her and suggested her boyfriend treat her to dinner. I raised an eyebrow, sizing her up, instantly catching on to her little game. She was trying to charm me. She just smiled without a word. Her left hand reached out to fix my hair. I teased that if she wanted to win me over, she'd have to get in line. I locked eyes with her, letting her mess with my hair. She heard my words, and with a slight tilt of her head asked if she could cut the line. I'd seen all kinds of beautiful women, but today, for the first time, I felt a pang of nervousness. I asked if she wasn't afraid I'd really slept with other women. She said unless I admitted it myself, she wouldn't believe it. In that moment, I truly wavered. But in the end, I just shoved my hands in my pockets, calmly telling her to meet me at the school gate tomorrow at 8 p.m. I didn't catch her expression. To play it cool, I walked off right after saying it. The next day arrived. I cleaned up and headed to the bar early. As for Lang Ningbing, I figured I'd let her taste a bit of the real world's harshness. After a round of drinks, I leaned back in the booth, half closing my eyes, scanning the room. My buddy Angson sidled up, nudging me. He asked if I wasn't in the mood today. I closed my eyes and mumbled I didn't know. I was just feeling tired. He pressed if something was up. Noticing I'd checked my phone repeatedly, I didn't answer, just opened my eyes to glance at my phone again. It was already 10 p.m. Lang Ningbing had probably gone home by now. For some reason, I felt restless tonight. I couldn't settle down. Even drinking felt pointless. I nudged Ingson, telling him I was tired and heading out, and he offered to walk me. He got up and followed me. I didn't say no. I was genuinely exhausted. Once I got in the car, I closed my eyes, drifting off as I squinted. When I woke up, the car had been parked at the gate for who knows how long. Ingson was on his phone. I said I was leaving, but he called out to me. I asked, confused, what was up. He said he'd heard rumors that I'd been getting close with the school beauty lately. I shrugged, saying we kind of knew each other. He asked if she was chasing me. Angson's expression was dead serious, completely unlike his usual goofy self. I'd never seen him so serious, and it cracked me up. I teased if he had a thing for her, joking that he was into that type. His serious face broke instantly. He laughed and playfully flicked my forehead. He grumbled that I knew he wasn't into that, telling me to get going. He was tired too. I nodded, waved goodbye, and got out of the car. The moment I stepped out, I caught a glimpse of someone who looked like Lang Ningbing, but when I looked again, she was gone. I didn't think much of it. I probably just saw wrong. The next day, I ran into bad luck at the cafeteria. I bumped into Lang Ningbing, but she only glanced at me, then brushed past without a word. I stared at her retreating figure, amused. It seemed I'd really hurt her feelings. As the top student in the broadcasting program, I was naturally chosen by the school to host the Bayan Star Gala. My co-host was another talented girl from the program. That evening, they notified me for rehearsal. Maybe I arrived too early. The venue was still mostly empty. I wandered slowly down the hall looking for the bathroom. Suddenly, someone yanked me into a room. The room was pitch black, impossible to see anything. The person in front of me held me tightly, burying their head into my shoulder. Her familiar scent told me it was Lang Ningbing. She asked, her voice muffled, why I didn't show up last night. Her tone dripped with grievance. I told her not showing up meant I wasn't interested. I heard her grind her teeth in frustration. Her arms tightened around my waist. I could barely breathe from her grip. I patted her, trying to get her to loosen up, but she didn't budge. Instead, she leaned in and kissed me. The kiss was clumsy at first, but I slowly adjusted, taking the lead, guiding her into a deeper kiss. I heard her let out a soft gasp. I pulled back from her, though I couldn't see her face. Her body felt scorching hot. I teased if it was her first kiss. She quietly admitted it was. She was too adorable. I couldn't resist reaching out to touch her ear, whispering playfully if she wanted her big brother to teach her how to kiss. Her hand still rested lightly on my waist. I teased further, sliding my hand over her stomach through her clothes. Her stomach tensed instantly, showing clear signs of nervousness. I chuckled, kissing her lightly for a bit, then suddenly pushed her away. In the dark, she seemed a little dazed. I adjusted my clothes and told her to find someone else to teach her. I said I didn't have the time and left the room. Rehearsal was about to start. She chased after me, but didn't dare do anything more. Her gaze held a hint of superiority. The teacher in charge explained the process in detail. Then the rehearsal began. Lang Ningbing had a singing performance. During the third act's standby, she deliberately stood next to me, sneakily pinching my hand. I glanced forward and pinched her back, catching her stealing a smile from the corner of my eye. It felt like a secret affair. The rehearsal took over 3 hours. By the time it ended, it was past 10 p.m. As the host, I had to stay until the end. My co-host offered to walk me back to the dorm. I didn't refuse. The walk back was long, and having someone to chat with was nice. But as soon as we left the venue, I saw Lang Ningbing waiting outside, her hands in her pockets, leaning against a pillar by the entrance. When she saw me, her lips curved into a smile as she approached. But the moment she noticed the girl behind me, her smile faltered. Her expression changed so quickly, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. She shot me a resentful look. Still, she walked over, right in front of my co-host. She casually touched my cheek, her voice whiny. saying it was freezing outside. She complained she'd been waiting so long her face was nearly numb. I played along, asking what we could do about it. I was curious to see what she'd try next. She leaned her face closer, asking me to warm her up. I didn't move, but my co-host, embarrassed, quickly said goodbye. Once she was gone, Lang Ningbing dropped her act, her face blank as she called my name Yefeng. She accused me of never turning anyone down. I yawned, brushing it off casually. I pointed out I'd turned her down, hadn't I? She laughed, clearly annoyed, asking why I kissed her then. I told her to think carefully. Wasn't she the one who kissed me first? She fell silent, her eyes dim, staring at the ground, lost in thought. She looked so pitiful. Guilt washed over me. My mood soared with irritation. In the end, I sighed and stepped forward. I reached out to touch her cheek, warming her face, and her eyes lit up again. She placed her hand over mine, grabbing my hand. She offered to walk me back. On the way, she stayed quiet, only glancing at me now and then. Eventually, her staring got on my nerves. I told her to just say whatever she wanted. After a pause, she spoke calmly. She asked why I kept rejecting her. I repeated that I wasn't interested in her. She countered that if I wasn't interested, I wouldn't even spare her a glance. I looked at her surprised. She was right. If I had no interest in someone, I wouldn't even bother looking at them. I got curious. I asked why she wanted to date me. I was known around school as a player. She stopped walking and told me to play her then. Her gaze held the kind of sincerity and depth I feared most. I shrank back from her hand, terrified. I stayed silent and kept walking. She called out, asking what I was afraid of. She stood there open and honest, while I, like a coward, couldn't face her. I just kept walking forward. After that night, somehow Lang Ningbing figured out my class schedule. Every morning, she timed her arrival perfectly to catch me leaving the dorm, greeting me with a beaming smile, handing me breakfast, sometimes even tagging along to my classes, sticking to me like glue I couldn't shake off. When we ran into her roommates, they'd grin and enthusiastically call me Brother Yefen. Sometimes when they saw us together, they'd tease us. Two guys walking ahead of me muttered snidely that Lang Ningbing must have been drugged by me, wondering why she followed me around every day. Another guy chimed in sourly, saying it had to be true, since the usually aloof Lang Ningbing never acted like this before. Normally, I'd ignore comments like that, but lately, because of Lang Ningbing, I'd been in a foul mood. Hearing this kind of talk at that moment pushed me over the edge. I tapped the guy in front of me, coolly calling him out. I asked if he had a thing for Lang Ningbing. I begged him to go win her over, saying she was driving me up the wall with her constant chasing. I urged him to use his precious fingers to steal her away. The two guys turned red and scurried off. Even after that outburst, I still felt off, so I turned around, ditching my plan to head back to the dorm, and went to the bar instead. I sat at the counter, glumly downing drink after drink, cursing Lang Ningbing in my head the whole time. A woman in black stockings suddenly sat beside me. Smiling, she offered to buy me a drink. I nodded. We got to talking, and soon enough, her hand crept up to my lips. I frowned, about to brush her off, when someone yanked me up. It was Lang Ningbing again. She grabbed my hand, pulling me outside, calling my name. She said if I didn't want her, she'd stop coming around. She pleaded with me not to act like this. She was furious. Her voice even trembled. My temper flared too, and I snapped, asking what I'd done. I asked if she thought I'd have gone off with that woman if she hadn't shown up. I admitted that, yeah, I might have gone with her. I said that's just who I am. She went quiet. Her grip on my hand tightened. She said she'd ruined my fun then. I told her she got that right. She said fine. She wouldn't come looking for me anymore. Her voice flat, her eyes fixed on me, held no emotion. The moment she let go of my wrist, panic surged through my chest. But unlike before, she didn't linger. She didn't hesitate for a second. She turned and walked away. I suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of grievance. Tears streamed down my face, unstoppable. I wanted to call out to Lang Ningbing, but watching her figure grow smaller in the distance, I couldn't bring myself to shout. She was too good for me. I knew I'd never be worthy of someone as pure as her. Lang Ningbing, so straightforward and honest, truly kept her word. She never came looking for me again, not even on campus. Did I catch a glimpse of her? Perhaps she was deliberately avoiding me. My mood grew worse with each passing day. My heart ached unbearably every single day. Every night thoughts of Lang Ningbing haunted me. I found myself going to the bar more and more often. Each time I'd start drinking the moment I arrived. Even Angson couldn't stop me. I asked Angson if I was just a rotten person. When she was around, I found her constant presence annoying. But now that she was gone, I missed her desperately. Yet she actually thought I was the kind of guy who casually slept with women. I clutched the bottle, sobbing uncontrollably. Angson tried to comfort me, but nothing could stop my terrors or pull me away. In the end, he helplessly pulled out my phone, ready to call Lang Ningbing. But the call wouldn't go through. Lang Ningbing had blocked me. Shed really blocked me. Shed even deleted me from her green bubble. Shed said she wouldn't bother me anymore. Angson pointed out that this wasn't a solution. He warned that drinking so much would ruin my body, but I just kept saying I missed her. I wiped my tears and snot on Angson's clothes and started crying again. In the end, he could only drag me to a hotel after I de-drunk myself senseless. Maybe because I'd cried my heart out, my mood actually felt a little lighter. The school forum was buzzing with talk about how Lang Ningbing had stopped chasing me, claiming I'd scared her off. I angrily shut down the forum. What a load of nonsense. The freshman gala was just days away. I was the host. Lang Ningbing was performing. We were bound to cross paths. But I never imagined we'd meet like that. When I opened the dressing room door, Lang Ningbing was locked in a passionate kiss with a guy. That guy was the campus heartthrob. I froze in the doorway. She noticed the noise at the door. She stopped and turned to look at me, then pulled the heartthrob closer into her embrace. Her eyes were cold and detached. After locking eyes with her for a few seconds, I turned and left. I even closed the door behind them, ever so considerate. My chest felt like it was being crushed by a hammer. The weight pressed down hard. The school beauty and the campus heartthrob. What a perfect match they seemed. As if they were made for each other. The gala began. I delivered the opening remarks with surprising calm. Even I was shocked by my own composure. When my co-host spoke to me, I managed to smile and respond, even as she took the stage for the third act. Lang Ningbing appeared. She stood with me backstage waiting, but this time she positioned herself far from me as possible, not sparing me a single glance. I took a deep breath, pretending I didn't care about her either, but inside I was falling apart, especially when she took the stage. I noticed the heartthrob who wasn't in the front row before, now sitting there blushing shyly. My frustration hit its peak. I gritted my teeth, word by word. I announced Lang Ningbing's performance with venom, then stormed off to the bathroom. I'd lost my composure, thinking of how I'd faltered on stage. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to calm myself down. Just then the heartthrob walked in. He went to the mirror washing his hands. Then with a smug smile he said, he bragged that Ningbing had kissed him fiercely just moments ago. I was beyond exasperated. Had come in out of nowhere, saying something so ridiculous. I seriously wondered if he had a screw loose. I ignored him, just wiped the water off my face. As I headed back to the waiting area, he called out saying he and Lang Ningbing were together now. He claimed she was his, and told me to stop bothering her. Seeing I was about to leave, he hurriedly staked his claim with a string of possessive words. If he hadn't said anything, I might let it go. But his words sparked a rebellious streak in me. I turned around. Amused, I asked how she was his when he was so afraid I'd steal her. I said with his skills he shouldn't worry about what I might do. He got flustered, saying since I put it that way, I'd be letting him down if I didn't do something. He cursed at me from behind. I'd never seen anything like it. I walked away feeling oddly triumphant. When I returned to the waiting room, Lang Ningbing's song was nearly over. I tapped my co-host, pretending to be unwell. I lied, saying I suddenly felt bad and asked him to cover for 10 minutes. He readily agreed. telling me to take it easy and recover. Of course I'd recover, but I had other things to deal with. After Lang Ningbing finished, she headed toward the dressing room, just like she'd done to me before. I pulled her into a pitch-black room, holding her tightly in my arms. Her faint tea scent still clung to her. I couldn't help but nuzzle into her clothes. I teased her to be gentle. Her voice was husky as she spoke. I laughed, nuzzling her again before stopping. Leaning close, I asked if she was dating now. She replied without hesitation that I'd seen it myself. Furious, I bit her hand hard. I told her it wasn't allowed, though in the dark I couldn't see her face. I could only sense her emotions through her voice. She sounded exasperated, saying if I could chase other women, why couldn't she be with a guy? She called me domineering. Just then, the heartthrob's voice echoed down the hall, calling her name. I grabbed her hand, stood on my toes, and kissed her. At first, she just let me kiss her, giving no response at all. Frustrated, I pinched her waist. She laughed, pushing me away, then pinned me against the wall, taking the lead. Our movements were loud enough for anyone outside to hear. Amid the heartthrob's increasingly anxious calls, her kisses grew fiercer. The kiss lasted a long time, so long we were both gasping for air. Only then did she pull away. I remarked that dating the heartthrob must have given her plenty of kissing practice. Her technique had improved dramatically. I caught my breath, throwing out a sarcastic jab. She buried her head in my neck, chuckling. Her breath tickled me. She teased that I reeked of jealousy. I admitted I was jealous. I told her to wait obediently in the dressing room. I'd only asked for a 10-minute break. As I moved to push her away and leave, Lang Ningbing kept one arm around my waist, not letting go. She pulled out her phone to check the time. The sudden light stung my eyes. She laughed, putting it away, then warned me we had a few minutes left, suggesting we kiss a bit longer. After the gala ended, I was eager to find Lang Ningbing in the dressing room, but a group of girls surrounded me. One of them handed me a bouquet of roses. She said they were for me, praising how cool I was tonight. I thanked her politely, but declined the flowers. I told her I appreciated it, but couldn't accept them. The girl looked a bit embarrassed. Her friends urged me to take them, but I politely refused and walked away. As I turned at the fork in the path, Lang Ningbing was already waiting there. Her lips curved slightly upward, clearly in a great mood. She draped her jacket over my shoulders and took my hand to warm it. She praised me, saying I'd done well, taking the first step by learning to reject others. I shot back that if I didn't start rejecting people, she might actually end up with someone else for real. She laughed, saying that wouldn't happen. She whispered that I was the only one who could get a reaction out of her. She lowered her voice deliberately, speaking softly in my ear. Her playful demeanor was noticed by the heartthrob nearby. His eyes were already brimming with tears, but he still managed to smile as he approached. He called my name Yefeng, apologizing for the offensive things he'd said in the bathroom, but he claimed it was all Lang Ningbing's idea. He said she'd done it to provoke me, then said he'd leave if there was nothing else. The heartthrob flashed a playful tongue-wow grin, but I knew his feelings for Lang Ningbing were genuine. Maybe if I hadn't come looking for her, he might have actually done what he said. I lingered on his kind smile until his figure vanished down the hall. Then I turned to Lang Ningbing. I remarked that I hadn't pegged her for such a scheme. Her eyes darted away, avoiding mine. I turned her face toward me and leaned in for a kiss. Lang Ningbing and I made up, officially starting our relationship. She became even clingier than before, calling me baby all day long, orbiting around me. Though I acted annoyed on the surface, deep down I was thrilled. No one had ever cared for me like this before. After class, one stepped out of the lecture hall and immediately spotted someone waiting for me at the bottom of the stairs. We were meeting her roommates for dinner tonight. I'd styled my hair to look extra sharp. Her eyes crinkled into a smile the moment she saw me. She obediently walked over and took my hand. We were the last to arrive at the hot pot restaurant. Her 3 roommates were already there. One of their boyfriends had arrived too. I apologized, explaining I was late because of a full morning of classes. They quickly waved it off, saying it was fine. They'd only just gotten there themselves. They teased that I's sister had messaged them, calling me brother-in-law and telling me to make myself. I'd been in plenty of relationships before, but a formal dinner with my girlfriend's friends was a first for me. I couldn't help but squeeze Lang Ningbing's hand. She sensed my nervousness, squeezing my hand back reassuringly, then smoothly changed the subject. I let out a relieved breath as the food arrived soon after. I love the fish at this place. Lang Ningbing sat beside me, carefully picking out the bones for me. Her roommates seeing this couldn't resist teasing. One of them said they had to tell me about that time at the bar. How when I approached their booth, my sister was over the moon, her smile impossible to hide. When I didn't ask for her contact info, her face fell instantly. Another chimed in saying she now talked about me every day in the dorm, to the point their ears were practically calloused. I hadn't known any of this. I looked at Lang Ningbing surprised. She was still focused on deboning my fish, her lips curved with a faint smile. I asked if she'd liked me that early on. She pursed her lips, staying silent, wiped her hands, and placed a piece of boneless fish in my bowl. Before admitting it was even earlier than that, I pressed her to tell me more. She said it started back in our freshman year, when I went on that volunteer teaching trip. She'd gone too, and that's when she started liking me. I looked at her, stunned it was that long ago. The dinner wasn't awkward at all. Lang Ningbing's roommates were chatty, always bringing up fresh topics to discuss, so it ended on a cheerful note. When Lang Ningbing went to pay, I waited for her at the entrance. A long-haired female server approached. I didn't think much of it and stepped aside to let her pass, but she stopped right in front of me. I looked at her puzzled. She slowly lifted her head, revealing a face I never wanted to see again in my life. She called me Little Fang Fang, saying it had been a while. She asked if I missed my auntie. Memories from childhood flooded back. Nausea churned in my gut. She reached out to touch me. I shouted at her to get away and not touch me. My outburst silenced the restaurant. Everyone turned to stare at us. In an instant, Lang Ningbing rushed over. She pushed her away and held me tightly. My body was trembling. I closed my eyes, leaning into Lang Ningbing, trying to calm myself down. She demanded to know who this woman was, telling her to back off. Lang Ningbing's brows were furrowed, her voice thick with anger as she yelled. The woman Shaya wasn't fazed. She smiled, saying there was no need to get worked up, claiming she hadn't done anything, just wanted to catch up with an old friend. She was utterly disgusting. I fought the urge to spit at her. I snapped that she wasn't my friend. She opened her mouth to say something more, but Lang Ningbing's roommate stepped in to stop her. In the end, she waved her hand and left. I glared at her the whole time. Before she walked away, she mouthed something to me. She said she'd come back for me. On the way back, Lang Ningbing held me close the entire time, comforting me as I trembled. My emotions finally started to settle. I didn't want to go back to school. I didn't want to be alone. So after saying goodbye to her roommates, she took me to her place. Her home was in a villa district, empty most of the time. She sat me down on the couch and went to get me some hot water. My eyes followed her every move. It was the only way I felt grounded. Lang Ningbing handed me the water. She didn't ask anything, just told me to calm down. The pained look on her face pierced straight into my heart. I threw myself into her arms, feeling so wrong, so heartbroken. I told her that woman was a bad person. She was my neighbor when I was a kid, back when my parents were away on business. Coming home late at night, she'd sneak in through the window when no one was home. She'd come into my room. I sobbed, telling her in broken fragments. She stopped me, saying I didn't need to go on. Her voice trembled as she told me it was all in the past. I begged her not to leave me. I said I had let her succeed. I'd smashed a vase on her head. My heart was so heavy with pain. I was terrified Lang Ningbing would reject me and walk away. She pulled me onto her lap, cradling my face, wiping my tears, and kissed me gently. Her kisses were so tender. Eventually, I cried myself out and fell asleep in her arms. When I woke up, it was already 2 in the afternoon. I went looking for her. She was standing by the window, on the phone with someone. I didn't approach. I stood still waiting for her. She came over after the call. She said she'd gotten me leave from school asking if I was hungry as she wrapped her arms around me. I leaned into her and nodded. Then she took me to get food. A few times. I wanted to speak but stopped myself. I wanted to ask if she was thinking of breaking up with me. Even if she was, I'd agree. But I couldn't bear to let her go. So I hesitated and never spoke up. She was the one who broke the silence. She told me about the woman named Licia, who'd gotten out of prison a week ago. She'd been asking around about me for days, and then showed up, taking a job as a server at that restaurant. Her target was me, but Lang Ningbing told me not to be afraid. She said she'd handle it with her connections. Her words left me unsure how to respond. My mind was a blur. I knew Lang Ningbing's family was wealthy, but I hadn't realized just how powerful they were. Her words were beyond what I'd imagined. I asked how she'd handle it. I'd reported Licia before, and it never worked. She always got out. She hadn't succeeded, so she didn't get a long sentence. Back then, I was consumed by despair. My parents didn't believe me. They forbade me from speaking out, saying it was shameful. I lived in fear every night. Until later, when my parents died in a car accident on their way home, Licia broke into our house. I was so scared I smashed a vase on her head. I finally called the police, but she only got a few years in prison. Before she went in, she pointed at me, saying she'd confined me when she got out. I fled to my aunt's place and came to Heishi, just to get as far away as possible. But she still found me. Lang Ningbing saw my worrying. She smiled gently, telling me not to be afraid. It wasn't about reporting her. Dealing with someone like her required other methods. She told me to stay at her place for a few days, assuring me Licia couldn't get to me there. I knew those guys wanted to see me make a fool of myself. After all, Lang Ningbing, the school beauty of Nonder, had been there for 3 years, with countless guys throwing themselves at her. Not one ever succeeded. During the days I stayed at Lang Ningbing's house, I didn't step outside once. Every day I'd wake up, watch TV, play with her cat Pepper, or read a book. Lang Ningbing was by my side every moment. On the 4th day, she came out of her room and ruffled my hair, asking if I wanted to attend Licia's court hearing. That's when I understood what she meant by other methods. Lang Ningbing had hired some thugs to lure Licia into gambling. Since she was desperate for money after prison, she took the bait easily. She won a few times at first, getting bolder, but then lost more and more. In just 2 days, she owed millions. When she was at her most desperate and broke, the thugs tipped her off, leading her to a loan from a company tied to Lang Ningbing's family. She successfully borrowed for million. Tasting success, she gambled it all away and lost everything. When she tried borrowing again, she was denied. Thinking the thugs had scammed her, she confronted them. They got into a fight, and she beat one of them into disability. But it was all part of the plan. On the day of the court hearing, I went with Lang Ningbing. Just like 10 years ago, I sat in the back of the courtroom, memories crashing over me like waves. This time the outcome was different. Licia was sentenced to 18 years. This time she'd paid dearly. Outside the courthouse, I watched the snowflakes fall. Lang Ningbing squeezed my hand, turning to me with a smile. She called my name Yefeng. She said she hadn't thanked me yet for being so brave 10 years ago, for protecting myself. I stared at her speechless for a long time. Her eyes reflected the soft snow, and a love so deep it overwhelmed me. The new year was coming. She asked me to come home with her, to meet her family. I agreed to go with her. She'd take me home.